China just pulled the financial equivalent of a nuclear move. $1.7 trillion in U.S. Treasuries. Gone. And almost no one is talking about it. This isn't just about banks or politics. It's about power, collapse, a quiet financial war that's already underway. Your savings, your future, even the dollar in your hand, it's all on the line. And it started with one U.S. decision that triggered a global chain reaction. Stay with me because what you're about to learn could change how you see money. Forever. In this video, you'll see what really triggered China's massive sell-off. How America's biggest banks were yanked out of a $5 billion deal. Why gold is exploding in demand. And how this quiet economic war could hit your wallet in real time. But don't blink because in the second half I'll reveal how BRICS is building a new financial order. One that could crush the dollar's dominance in just a few short years. And why U.S. inflation might only be getting started. If you care about your money, you'll want to see what's coming next. It all began with a move that shocked global markets. In March 2025, the U.S. government ordered J.P. Morgan and Bank of America to pull out of a $5 billion IPO. The company? Cartel, a Chinese battery giant deeply connected to Beijing's military and tech ambitions. Washington labeled it a national security threat. They said American capital shouldn't be fueling China's rise, especially not its war machines or surveillance empires. It was bold, strategic, and loud. But to Beijing, it was a shot fired. Overnight, Cartel's valuation dropped by $210 million. That wasn't just financial loss, that was humiliation on the global stage. And Wall Street got the message. National interest now trumps profit. A new doctrine had arrived, what insiders now call extraterritorial capital deterrence. The message was clear. If you're investing overseas, you better check with Washington first. But while the U.S. celebrated a power play, China was already loading its next move. China didn't retaliate with threats, they retaliated with cash, silent, calculated, brutal. Within 72 hours, Beijing's state-owned banks began dumping U.S. Treasuries. Fast. It was the biggest sell-off since 2016. $78.5 billion gone in just one quarter. Let that sink in. That's nearly the GDP of Sri Lanka. Vanished from American debt markets. This wasn't panic, it was precision. China had been preparing for this. They took that money and went shopping for alternatives fast. Gold? Trading volumes in Shanghai hit a 5-year high. They bought so much the global price spiked almost overnight. BRICS infrastructure bonds. Demand exploded. Japanese 10-year bonds. Chinese purchases surged 28% in just one quarter. The message from Beijing was loud and clear. We're done funding your system. We're building our own. And while U.S. markets were still catching their breath, China was already laying the next foundation, one that could shake the dollar to its core. Back in the U.S., Washington wasn't about to take China's move lying down. Within days, the Senate Banking Committee advanced a bipartisan bombshell, a bill targeting over 220 Chinese firms listed on American stock exchanges. That's $812 billion in Chinese-linked capital, suddenly hanging by a thread. Companies like Alibaba, PetroChina, JD.com, gone from Wall Street overnight. That's not just a headline, that's a market quake, and here's where it gets real. BlackRock, America's investment titan, has $115 billion tied up in Chinese assets. If that bill passes, they'll have just 12 months to sell it all. 12 months to unload stakes in some of the world's most volatile and politically charged companies. 12 months of panic selling, price crashes, and institutional freakouts. Forced liquidation isn't just messy, it's dangerous. It could trigger a chain reaction across global markets. And for retail investors, it could mean portfolio losses before they even know what hit them. Meanwhile, Wall Street's influence in Asia's $34 trillion market? Fading. Fast. This isn't just a tit for tat anymore. It's financial warfare with your 401k, your retirement, and your dollar on the front lines. While America scrambles to play defense, China's already moved on to the next play. They're not reacting. They're rebuilding from scratch. In early 2025, Beijing made a game-changing announcement. $423 billion committed to creating a self-sufficient financial system. That's not petty cash, that's a total overhaul. Their plan? Replace the West completely. No more Moody's, no more Fitch. No more SP judging Chinese credit from across the Pacific. Instead, they're rolling out their own agencies, their own ratings, their own rules. And it doesn't stop there. Shanghai's international board, booming. In just one quarter, it pulled in $112 billion worth of foreign listings. Not from America, but from Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. These aren't side deals. These are power moves. China is offering the world an alternative. A financial network that doesn't report to the US, doesn't bow to Washington sanctions, and doesn't depend on the dollar. Every step is intentional. Every dollar rerouted is a brick in a new financial empire. This is no longer about survival. It's about domination. And if the West doesn't adapt fast, it may soon be locked out of the very system it once controlled. So, what does this actually mean for you? Let's break it down. If China keeps dumping US Treasuries, the dollar gets weaker. And when the dollar weakens, prices climb. Not someday, soon. Gas at the pump up, groceries more expensive, your rent. Yeah, landlords feel the pinch too, and they pass it on. And your retirement, that 401k, that Roth IRA, it's tied to markets that hate uncertainty. And guess what this is? Maximum uncertainty. Interest rates spike to keep the dollar alive. Suddenly, that dream house is out of reach. Your credit card debt costs more. Student loans, heavier. The fallout isn't just charts and headlines, it's your day-to-day life. It's the $50 fill-up, the 8 milk, the sleepless night wondering if your savings will last. This isn't just about Wall Street or Beijing. This is about your wallet, your plans, your future. And if you think Washington has a plan, you might want to stick around for the rest of this video because what's coming next changes everything. This isn't just an economic story. This is war. Not with tanks, not with missiles, but with money. Welcome to the new Cold War, where cash is the weapon of choice. Forget what you learned in school about battles fought with boots on the ground. Today it's about bond markets, central banks, and reserve currencies. It's about who sets the rules and who rewrites them. And China, they're not just reacting, they're reshaping the board. It's not about who has the most bombs. It's about who controls the flow of capital, who sets the value of currency, who can make or break markets with a single policy shift. This is no longer a US vs China game. It's a global realignment. Nations are choosing sides, not based on ideology but on economics. BRICS is rising, the dollar is shrinking. And the West is realizing, too late, that control over trade and tech is nothing if you lose control of trust. Because that's what a reserve currency really is. A promise the world believes in. And right now, that belief is fading. So the real question isn't who's winning, it's what comes next. Will China dump the rest of its treasuries? If they do, it could trigger the biggest sell-off the bond market has seen in decades. Will BRICS go all in and launch a shared currency? Imagine a world where oil isn't priced in dollars, where your savings lose value overnight, not from inflation but isolation. And what about your dollars? Will they still buy the same gas, the same food, the same future 5 years from now? One thing's clear, this isn't over. This isn't a headline, it's a warning. What we're watching isn't just economic noise. It's the sound of a global shift, quiet to most, deafening to those who know where to listen. Because history doesn't announce itself, it sneaks in, through policy changes, market movements, and trade deals. If you made it this far, you're not just watching, you're paying attention. So don't just scroll. Subscribe because this channel breaks down the moves that move the world every single week. Hit that like button if your eyes are a little wider than they were 15 minutes ago. That tells the algorithm this is the kind of content people need to see. And now I want to hear from you. Is the dollar done? Or is this just global noise with no bite? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Because this is just the beginning.